So I think it depends on the severity and the urgency for what you're trying to fix. And I think it is fun to like the people you work with, and I think that develops over time. But if you're too much like someone else, then you can't actually help them, right? And so you want to have a little bit of an edge, a little bit of different, and not be a little different from the people you're serving, and show up as a service provider, and not so much like as a friend. So what's so interesting about what you're saying, Tim, is about like marketers missing the obvious next step or a way to really build a relationship or set their sales team up with conversations and clients. Is so many people are designing their sales systems and their processes from a place of fear or insecurity, and from like a lack of knowledge, right? And blind spots like you were talking about. So like, if there's something going on in your mindset where you're afraid of sales or are avoidant of sales, you're going to design systems and processes that prevent you from actually like connecting with people in the most direct way, because some of those people are going to reject you, right? Some people just aren't going to want your chocolate ice cream or your strawberry ice cream. They just don't like ice cream. They're not ice cream. They're not dairy people, right? And so there's a real opportunity for building your sales systems and processes and your sales teams from a place of cause and effect, and knowing strategy and what actually works for your market and for your offer.
And people are afraid of rejection, and so we don't ask the question in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. So
right? The other thing I see, when we look at both marketing and sales, right? The fact that we're calling them marketing sales, and as soon as we get into corporate, there's a marketing department and there's a sales department, right? And never the twain shall meet. And I've seen organizations who use completely different CRM systems for marketing and sales, and those systems don't talk to each other either. Is that we design our marketing and sales activities in isolation of each other. So they're siloed, and yet the customer journey is not siloed.
Yeah.
So I've got some great content, right? And people are engaging with my content, but they're doing nothing to engage and encourage the people who are engaging with me to take the next step. I just assume that they know.
Right.
And the thing is, if we just assume that our customers know what the next step is, it'd be like running a sales meeting and going, okay, so you love it. And then like just leaving the air silent, and they're like, and they don't know the game you're trying to play. They've never played this game before. And like, I don't know what to do now. Do I need to give you my credit card or?
What happens? I'm confused.
What happens next, right? And imagine sort of taking someone's money and go, okay, thanks for your money. Right?
You're welcome.
And kind of like, it's just assuming that they know what's going to happen after that. Because, right? A mature sales process says, now that we've taken your money, this is what's going to happen, right? I'm going to hand you over to Jenny. Jenny's going to be your account manager, and she's going to take you through this. Hey, look, what don't I do this? Why don't I facilitate a meeting with Jenny? We'll get together and we'll talk about next steps. Yeah. And the customers now, as they come on board, going, I feel safe. I've made the right decision, right? I feel like I'm taken care of, because they're at this emotive state that's now gone, did I make the right decision? They need validation and reassurance at that stage, because they're feeling it, whilst previously, before the sales call, they were feeling hopeful that finally they'd found the right person. As soon as they've made this, taken their money, they're now back in a state of emotive fear.
You know why that happens, Tim? That the reason that happens is because any investment in yourself requires change and growth. And humans don't seek for change and growth. We seek for stability in what we know already. So while a good salesperson can help you get clear on the fact that you want to grow and help you step through that initial fear, as soon as they're out of the picture, if that person isn't well cared for, their subconscious mind and their mindset will come in, and it'll start making you wrong for wanting to change and grow, and to help you slip out of the decision, right? And that's why like people have things like buyer's remorse, right? And so a good sales organization, or a good not necessarily a sales organization, but just a good business understands that, and they help walk that buyer through that change. And the salesperson will go, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to Jenny, but I'll also reach back out in a week or two to see how things are going for you. And a real good salesperson will reach back out some way through the project, a really tight sales organization, to go, hey, how did, what worked, what didn't? Ask for a referral, ask for a testimonial, see how they can sell more goods to that client.
This is the stuff that we do
doing awesome
around systemizing that, right? Because we know that not all sales really, but some people have it inherently. They'll go, I need to sort of make a note. I've got to go back to that person and check in and stuff like that, right? They've got a system. The thing that we see, the more that we systemize that using our CRM, using marketing automation tech to kind of go, no, I need to do that as an organization. This is the way we now approach our clients. The more likely they are to actually then go, I don't care whether we've got a good salesperson or a shit salesperson. My system's now telling them what to do and what to say and then do it, right? Or it's even better, it's actually doing it on their behalf.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right? and then it's just happening regardless of whether they've got it, right? And the thing that I find with organizations across the board, that your competition is creating such a low bar that it's very easy for you to jump over that and suddenly see the standout organization in your industry sector, in your markets and market segment, to go, well, fuck, you're way better than everybody else, right?
Well, you
don't need to be actually way better. You just need to have the perception of better, because you're doing something that other people aren't doing.
Yeah. Well, you see that all the time. I mean, you don't have to even be that much better to stand out. And you see that all the time on social media, or on LinkedIn, especially for like B2B services businesses. Like, they'll say they're inundated. Like, you have buyers being like, oh, LinkedIn is shit. Like, I get so many, pitches. It's just constant pitches. And then you have sellers being like, oh, LinkedIn shit. There's just too much noise. Like, I get lost. I get drowned out in the sea of noise that is out there. And it's like, it is so easy to book a conversation off LinkedIn. It's so easy to like call someone up on the phone and schedule a conversation. It's so easy to cut through like email. It's just because it's like, if you're just authentic and you're clear about who your people are and what your offer is, it's just like, you can spend, a very, very short amount of time and outperform sales teams with dozens of people on them who are spending days and days just trying to like hours and hours trying to like make sales, because there's just so much noise out there. So I think you're really onto something there, Tim. Like, it's super easy to stand out, and especially if you have systems in place to support you.
Yeah, it comes back to some fundamentals. I mean, I just attended a BNI meeting, and we had the sort of Australian owner of BNI sort of come across. And he gave his education section like, the BNI does. And he was talking about relationships and how important relationships are, right? And there's 15, he's going, there's some fundamentals, and this is why BNI works, right? BNI works on the fundamentals of build relationship with people that you see often, okay? And build reciprocity with those people. So, we look at that, at marketing the same, whether it be, digital marketing is not much different than face-to-face stuff, right? We connect with the right people. Right, there's no point in me pitching to kindergarten kids all day long, because it's going to be a very, very long sales cycle.
Very long.
Right? Deepen the relationship with them by, offering value, having genuine conversations and connections, right? Adding value. And we could just be adding value by commenting on someone else's stuff or sharing their content, right? Say, hey, I saw this from Chris. It's fucking awesome. You guys should check this shit out, because what he's speaking about, really resonated with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with you. Blah, 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 blah. And then, go, hey, how can we work together? Right? And then ask the question. All right, then we pivot and go, hey, because we're going to go back to, we'll always go back to people who we know, like, and trust. We don't buy from people if we don't have one of those three, all of those three. If I don't know you, I can't buy from you, right? If I don't trust you, but I like you and I know who you are, fantastic company at the pub, right? We'll drink beers together all day long, but we're never going to do any work together, right? If I trust you and know who you are, but I don't like you, well, that's great.
That's
You might be the best person in the world at what you do, but I don't like you, so I'm going to buy from somebody else. Right? We need that. We need those and three of those things, right? And that can only be built, through how we do and how we appear, to our prospects in the market. And it doesn't matter whether you're in e-commerce, doesn't matter whether agribusiness, a sex worker, a flight school, a solar panel company, an accountant, lawyer, whatever. All right? Just because we can solve someone's problem doesn't mean they want us to solve it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, you might not be their people.
Might not be their people. Right. And we need to, we only going to discover that through, are we a good fit? Get to the point, you're going to say, are we a good fit to actually work together? Because again, not everyone's a good fit, right? We don't want every single client. I'm happy to, it's my worst clients, to my competition. Happy to refer them.
Well, I think it's really funny. Like I have people reach out to me all the time and tell me we work with the same people. And I'm like, no, we don't, because there's so many, there's visionary founders, there's venture founders, there's heart people, there's mind people. Like we connect based on, there's relationship people, there's goal-oriented people. And it's like, even in all those factors show up in kind of like your sweet spot clients, even if you're a marketing agency, right? Like even you're a marketing agency and you're B2B, you serve B2B clients, like that doesn't mean you have the same exact clientele, right? And really understand
if we're in the same niche in the same city.
In the same niche in the same city. It doesn't mean you do the same work with the same client. So I think that's really interesting. I think it's also interesting what you say about know, like, and trust. And I know that's been taught for a long time. And I think there's some real truth in like humans wanting to connect around that. But, I think more fundamental than that is like either you can help the person or not. And either they want help or not. I often think about like, if my leg is broken and I go to the emergency room, like I don't care if I know, like, and trust the doctor. I just want to know if he can do a good job fixing my leg or not. Right. So I think it depends on the severity and the urgency for what you're trying to fix. And I think it is fun to like the people you work with. And I think that develops over time. But if you're too much like someone else, then you can't actually help them. Right. And so you want to have a little bit of an edge, a little bit of different, and not be a little different from the people you're serving, and really show up as a service provider and not so much like as a friend. So I hear what you're saying, but you also have to be aware of where you're like the intention of know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust is often, I see that often show up like with what I call like a get energy. Like I need to get you to know me. I need to get you to like me. I need to get you to trust me, instead of being like, that's going to develop over time because I can really help you. And let me lead with the fact that I actually think I can help you. Right. And then if I can, that's going to know, like, and trust is going to fall out of that conversation in a very kind of natural way. It's not something you have to try to like engineer or get from the other people. And when you show up to get those things, I think that's when you get those salesy vibes, which actually like go.
Yeah, well, again, you come back to what you were saying earlier, right? It needs to be authentic. Relationship needs to develop authentically. If it's not developing authentically and feels forced, that people love to buy, they don't like to be sold to.
That's it.
And if we can help someone, fantastic, we can help them, right? Let's have a conversation and see if we're a good fit or not, right?
Yeah.
But it has to come across like that, right? And it has to be presented like that. And I think this is where founder-led sales tends to be more effective, even if it's a founder-led sales team, right? As opposed to like, the corporate sales team, which is, immediately been set sales budgets and you need to close, $6 million in sales across 30 clients, this month, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right. So, because we've actually set the KPI around, numbers and targets, immediately means that we've had to force someone to kind of go, I know you're not ready for this yet, but you need to buy it.
Yeah.
All right. And we work with sort of a lot of our suppliers and FIP and high level and whatnot, right? And they're like, who's got another sale for me this month? I need to get another one over the line. You got to stake. I mean, even their remuneration structure around sort of, we'll give you a bonus if you close in the first 30 to 20 days of the month. And right, it's almost artificially forcing people into this urgency of I must sell.
Yeah.
Means my client isn't allowed to buy in their time frame.
Yeah. Well, even listen to like your language at those corporate sales teams. I need to get another one over the line. Like, it's messed up on, like, there's not a need there, right? Like, you make a decision to hit your sales target and it can happen really easily. You don't need to get anything from anybody, right? It's like you're there to provide something of service. And your clients aren't something, they're not this one. Your client, they're humans. It's not like something you force over a line. Yeah. Like, I need to get this over the line. Like, it's like, hey, I need to help Tim, like, solve his problem. And if I can help him, like, the natural result of being able to help him is he's going to buy with great ease and be really happy. So interesting.
That, I think that's what the issue with the corporate sales team is that, the way they're remunerated, the way they're sort of targeted, almost, inherently forces that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's not coming from a place of service, it's coming from a place of selfishness.
For sure. It's total get energy. Yeah. So tell me a little bit kind of like who your sweet spot client is and
our sweet
spot project.
Yeah, our sweet, and still founder-led sort of organizations. And I don't like corporates or anything like that. When founder-led organizations, usually sort of high six figures. We do just still do a lot of coaches and consultants and stuff like that. Yeah. It's usually, where we're starting to develop a team, we're sort of successful. We've got a good product market fit. We've got some, measure of sort of runs on the board for a couple of years. We know what we're doing. We can deliver and scale, right? Because there's no point scaling an organization that, suddenly saying, hey, we're going to double the number of clients you've got the next 12 months. So they go, don't know how I'm going to deliver that.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that, that owner has to have has to be in a growth mindset kind of space, right? Generally speaking, they're sort of, high sixes into sort of low into mid seven figures. I do have a couple of clients who are in the 8-figure range, but not so many. Usually in that sort of 7-figure range where they've gone, I've got people to do it. I've got admin staff, and I just don't know what I don't know around, the customer journey. And so I think, looking at what you do, we probably go a little deeper into, the CRM sort of side of stuff. So we'll actually sort of set that up and build it and automate it and integrate it, from an engineering perspective. But we probably don't touch the sales process.
Okay. Right.
In any great detail. Okay. I'll talk about the entire customer journey and I go, you've got gaps here, here, and here, and here. And then bring in people who go, well, I know, Chris is amazing sort of sales process engineer. Let's just bring Chris here to have that, that level of detail.
Yeah.
Integrate. But like, how does that work? We'll talk about, you might design that sort of sales process stuff, but then we might go, well, we need to kind of, build the technology or implement the CRM that matches or maps to that sales process.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Are you working with any specific like industries or type of?
No, it's more a level of maturity.
Okay.
Right. So, definitely it's that point where we're going, I know I need some systems to scale.
Okay.
Again, it's that sort of level of maturity that we tend to find at sort of low 7 figures. Yeah. Definitely entrepreneurs with a growth mindset, definitely people who go, I know I need help and I know I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in working with owners who like, I am the genius and you're all idiots.
Yeah.
Right. I know better. All right. So we want people who are open to taking advice, Yeah.
How big is your team, Tim, and how many clients do you have?
So my team at the moment is 3.
Okay.
I'm active. I've just actually, I let 3 staff go sort of late last year and early this year.
Okay.
They just weren't quite the right fit for what I needed going forward. And so I'll be looking to hire probably 2 more, maybe 3 more in the next 6 months.
Okay.
So I've got an engineering gap at the moment,
Yeah.
around that automation. So I found myself sort of falling back into that role, and I'll now hire a closer in the next 6 months as well.
Okay.
And off to France for the Rugby World Cup in September for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want the organisation to come to a screeching halt while I'm out. So
For sure. So you're the only person making sales at your business now?
I've got a guy who comes in sort of part time for, as a closer. So I'll sort of throw some stuff at him to do it if I'm out. But I tend to be doing most of the sales closing at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's real tough for consulting businesses to transition out of founder-led sales. And I really think the founder is the right person to do that work. And with a little bit of support, like it can be really easy for founders. So
yeah. What about for you? Where's is that similar sweet spot for you?
a sweet spot for me. So I typically work with consulting firms, either solo consultants or boutique consulting firms, or marketing agencies that are like between 10 and 20 people. Those tend to be the bulk of my clients.
Sort of shift in, who they are.
Yeah. And I tend to like a sweet spot client is a founder seller who wants to grow and decided to hire salespeople to do that, but has fired their salespeople and now they're back to being a founder seller. That's like a real good, that's a real nice one, because they're like, I want to grow. And I tried that, 3.25 times on average is actually the statistics. And they're all back to being founder sellers. And like, all jokes aside, like they've experienced the pain of kind of like salespeople underperforming. And I think they're just ready for some help. And it's also someone who's willing to like really understands that it's that combination of coaching, sales operations, process systems, and then some really high level daily selling support. It's not about like just hiring a VA from the Philippines and thinking like that person's going to like be your sales admin and that's going to work out real well, because it creates way more frustration than benefit in a lot of cases. So.
Well, no, I get that. Like one of my clients right now is in that position, right? We did.
Yeah.
They originally sort of got me interested in marketing support, and that role very quickly transformed into, almost a management consulting kind of role.
Yeah.
Working with him as the founder to mature his thinking and stuff as well, right? And they're still kind of from a marketing focus, and we're having a bit of things in the team, but they're looking to, I did a little bit of sales stuff for them, outreach last year, because again, the founder, who is the tech genius and probably the best position to do the sales work, is not a sales guy. He's a natural engineer.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's going, I just need a sales guy, right? And they've looked at hiring, salespeople, can't find the right one. They're now going to get this other guy who I've advised them not to get, because he's basically the same profile as the founder.
Yeah, right.
If the founder's wife is involved, the business goes, no, this guy's the best person we've had yet. We can afford him. He's cheap.
Oh gosh.
And again, it comes back to that sort of adage about, the worst advice I'd ever get from anybody is, how to be rich from a poor person.
Yeah, exactly. This is so true.
Don't hire the same profile. Okay, you need a different profile to do the sales thing. And if you hire a cheap salesperson, you'll get cheap results.
Just won't work. I think like you can hire, like if your product market fit, if your sales system is super dialed in, and this is why I like corporate. I mean, depends on the business, but like you can have average salespeople, like in a large, well-functioning sales org, and they'll move the needle. You'll still have kind of like your rock stars and your low performers, but like overall, on average, like that's performant. But like for a professional services business where so much of the value is is holding a conversation, you can't bring in kind of like just your average generic sales. I mean, even high performing salespeople who know how to do consulting based sales will fail at early stage companies, because the companies don't have either their offer, their product market fit. They literally have no systems at all. And it's really difficult for a salesperson to be successful. And that it's also super difficult because like if the company can't grow enough revenue to compensate the salesperson effectively, so like if a salesperson wants on target earnings of say $150,000 US, right, and you're paying them 10% commission, that company needs to be willing to grow $1.5 million, right? They need to have enough growth available so that a good salesperson can come in and make the money they're going to want to make. And if you don't want to grow by a certain amount, then like the salesperson is going to be unhappy if they work out at all.
Fundamentally wrong numbers, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the other things I see is interesting in that space, right? People think they need a salesperson, right? Well, they actually want is a BDM, right? They actually so they want someone to go out and prospect, not just sit there and close, right?
Yeah.
So they want this combination of SDR and closer, one person, right? And they don't necessarily come from that sort of level of maturity of thinking about what do I actually need. What I actually want is someone to go out and develop opportunities for the business.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm not comfortable with rejection.
Yep.
I don't like being rejected, so I'm going to let someone else be rejected instead. So off you go. Right. And that's, that mindset, I think, is immediately setting people up for failure straight away.
For sure. Yeah. And if you don't work through your sales shit, like as a founder, like whatever that is, if there's any fear of rejection or any fear around any part or discomfort around any part of your sales process, from like cold calling to actually asking for the sale, talking with strangers about money to relationship nurturing and asking for referrals, that stuff's going to show up in how you build your business. And it doesn't matter who you hire, like you're building a culture around fear of sales at some level, right? So it's way better to like work that stuff out as a founder, get your systems dialed in, get yourself dialed in, and then bring in a sales team, right? You'll build a much better, much stronger.
Yeah, it's got to work before you bring your BDM. Because it's unfair to ask your BDM to suddenly develop your sales process.
Totally has to work. So,
man, what's the
totally?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the best way I can help you right now? I'm curious. What can I do for you? How can I kind of?
Well, I think I always ask for three things. So, I think there's an opportunity for me to what I call bench for you or subcontract for you. So if like there's projects you just need extra horsepower on, or like would you like to do a good implementation where you need someone to like really define the process or coach your clients or help in ways like maybe you do the technical piece, there may be some opportunity there. I don't know what's happening with your sales effort, but like I'm going to work with other sales consultants, founders, and help them make more sales too. So like that, you're like my sweet spot client. So if you want help, I know you want to hire a closer.
Yeah.
We can talk about why that may or may not work, but like as a sales consulting firm and doing founder sellers, being a founder seller, I think I could really help you out. And since you're in the business, it's good to have like a peer like me come in and we can, do something there together. And then always just referrals, like consulting business is based on referrals. It's like based on conversations like this and going, hey, Tim, like who do you know that could benefit from what I do? And would you be willing to make an introduction? So that's how.
So clients in the US or international client base?
I have only worked with clients in the US so far. I'm open to working with.
It's a big enough market.
There's plenty of market. My cell phone has a big enough market in it, right? Yeah. I'd work with international clients.
Yeah. Well, like, so I think Tim for me as well.
Probably like,
obviously the referrals, obviously sort of some bench capability in terms of coming in and doing some of the more technical CRM implementations. But I don't know whether you do that sort of level of depth, but that's our genius zone is actually going, let's actually figure and show you how to use this damn thing that you've got.
Yep.
And I say to people, like, it's not just like buying a car, right?
Yeah.
Where the petrol goes in, you've got to put it all together in the way that works for you.
Yeah.
Do you want a pickup or a sports car or whatever? Do you want something that can adapt for you? And let me show you how to drive it properly.
Yep, for sure.
right? You know, as to in that, or if you want me to be the chauffeur, we can drive it. We can sit you in the back, and you can drive it around. Yeah, so same sort of things as well, right? But yeah, I I appreciate the offer. I think there's, at some point in not too distant future, I'm going to need someone like you in my business as well to kind of, work with us and sort of maturing our sales process. Even just a second set of eyes, right? Because I don't know what I don't know.
It's so true. I think, and like it's the reason why I have really high level support and work with a coach in my business, because like my business is so important to me. Like I'm willing to hire people from the outside to help me see and do what I don't know how to see and do. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
absolutely, man, it's been an awesome conversation. Really appreciated your time and connection.
yeah, it's really enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, it was fun to.
Sweet as. All right, Chris. Mate, great to chat.
Hey, I go by Christopher, by the way.
Oh, Christopher, sorry. Christopher?
No worries. Yeah, for sure.
We have a tendency to play as short and everything.
Have a great day today, future boy.
Listen.
Hey, see you. Bye.